Hi there, it's Chris. Today's video is going to be a little bit different and a really exciting one because I finally get to introduce to you something I've been working on behind the scenes, my brand new course, the Christmas Drawing Advent Calendar. It's a fun 25-day festive drawing journey where you open a brand new lesson every day, just like an advent calendar, but for artists. And inside today's video, I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek so you can see what it's like. We're going to jump into one of the lessons from the course, and it's a snowman. It's such a cute and fun project, and it'll give you a really good feel for how the daily drawings work, how the instruction flows, and the cozy vibe of the whole course. So grab your iPad, get comfy, and let's take a look inside the adorable snowman lesson. In today's Advent project, we're going to be drawing an adorable snowman. I love doing snowmen, so I'm excited for this one. So let's get to it. We've got our canvas and our brushes ready, and let's draw this little guy together. Okay, so let's start with some circles. I know, shocking, but that's what we were going for today. So we're just gonna, this is probably gonna be way too big. Draw a little circle here. So just keep it rough, keep it loose. You know how we go here with our sketches. And another circle here. It's going to be a bit bigger than the top one. And he's going to have a lovely scarf. So let's just sort of mark that in, giving him a little bit of space for that. I do want it to overlap, but I'm kind of trying to make sure that that circle, it doesn't have to be touching exactly, but let's just actually have it pretty close. Just so this scarf shape has its own size there. So more of an oval, I suppose, because he needs to have the, this has to be somewhat flat for him to sit on the snow. Then the scarf shape, and then his nice circle head. So he's about, a third, 2/3, sort of, maybe a little bit closer to 50-50 than that. But then we're gonna have a nice big hat on him. So once you have your two circles and sort of your scarf, it's almost like an 8. Then we're gonna do his little hat. So I want it slightly jaunty, a little bit to the sides. So let's just sort of, this is where it kind of sits on his forehead. So just kind of have that marked out first. And then we're gonna go and have the brim. It's gonna go out here and it's gonna go wider. So this circle, you could draw a full circle if you wanted, but you don't need to, or full oval rather. It's just that's how that brim is coming around. I'm just gonna erase this behind here so it's clear. So that's the inside and that's the brim. So then you can go ahead and erase this a little bit here. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense when you see it like that. All right, and then we're going to have the top of his hat. So let's just sort of kind of go up like this, and I want it, again, some attitudes, a little bit of something. So let's have this nice curve like that. Sort of doing fun angles makes it a little bit more personality, and that's what we're going for. So have it like this, and then curve it like that. Gives it more attitude. And at the back, let's have it come in quite a bit like that. Like kind of a little wiggle like that. So you can see that that gives it a little something, something. All right, again, with my brim, I'm gonna make sure it's somewhat even. Like this side would probably come out a bit more. Or out there, that looks better. Okay. And then we'll have sort of that band that goes around like that. Again, getting bigger at this end, but I still want that curved. Okay. Yeah, like that. And that, of course, will have a bit of volume. So don't have it stuck flat to the hat. Have it like that. So it has its own bit of volume. Okay, that's kind of a fun jaunty hat. All right, now let's just see what's happening here. Just kind of making this, again, have nice volume to it. I want it to be a nice big scarf. Just gonna erase in here, cleaning up as we go, just sort of molding this into our lovely sketch. And then we'll have this bit of the scarf coming out like this, overlapping this circle again so we can read that, having that nice silhouette makes it look a little bit more professional. Okay, so let's just do a nice little carrot nose for him. So I'm gonna just draw a circle just really lightly, and then draw a carrot shape like that, and then just have that return there. I think I have a bit too much of a crisp edge here, to be honest, so just rounding that out like that, and then you can erase that inside bit of the circle. And there's his nose. I can just move it a little bit. I'm going to use my selection tool just to draw a line around it. I have freeform selected, and I'm just going to use my arrow. I can just move it around a little bit if I need to. It's probably about good. Okay, and then you'll have cute little eyes, and I'm going to make them, you know, make sure that they're not in the way of the carrot, so we can adjust them. I'm gonna have them kind of far apart. It gives them kind of a juvenile, goofy look. So I kind of like that. And then we'll have his little mouth. So I'm just gonna have little pieces all curving up into a nice little smile. So we just do our little dots here. Something like that. And then we'll have, like, you know, little rosy cheeks here, but we don't just really sketch those in, but you get the idea. He'll have his little buttons of coal like that. I think 2 is a nice way to balance this, because, well, you could do 3, but I think it again keeps those proportions really kind of squished together, making it very cutesy. And then we'll do his little stick arms. You know, just kind of jog away at these. They should not be exact. Make them very angular. Something like that. And then out here, kind of trying to get something like that. Yeah, something working like that. I think that one is a little bit low. I'm gonna grab my selection tool again with freehand selected, and just drawing around that and just moving that in there. Okay. What else do we need for our little sketch? I think I'll just show you these little details here. We'll just do like 5 circles, and then just sort of the little tassels. Anywhere you can add just a little bit of detail just makes it extra special, I think. Okay, looks good. I think that's good for our rough sketch. Let's move on to our line work. Okay, so I'll just take my sketch and tap on the N and turn down that opacity. Then I'm going to just create a new layer. Again, with my classic sketcher, I'm just going to be at size 15, and let's just trace our nice outlines here. So I'll start with this, just kind of giving a little attitude to my lines, making it look a little bit neater. Sometimes you can have that little jog there. It looks like a bit of a fold. And swooping. That looks good. All right, so we'll have this inside line here. This little face. And the brim of the hat. Coming around, and just make sure that, as always, I know I sound a bit like a broken record, like this doesn't all come in here, or this doesn't all come like that. You don't want all these lines, 3 lines coming together like that. It looks very awkward. So make sure you have them separate. So we can see that the face is there, and then we have our scarf coming in here. So I'm just gonna kind of have this a 3/4 of the way through, sort of like a bit of a fold like that. It'll help create sort of the texture of the scarf. You can even, if you want, you can even kind of go here, make it a wiggly line, and just have it so it looks like a fold. That's kind of a nice detail if you want to do that. Having this all come through here and just have it wiggly, just use the pressure up and light and dark, you know, up and light and dark. So light pressure, dark pressure, that just makes those wiggly lines and really creates that just softer sort of fabric look. All right. Lovely. Okay, let's just do his little face here. So his little carrot nose, just have it, you know, not a little bit wiggly, I think. And then all you need to do is just be mindful, just like we did with the candy cane, just really having these lines go around. Make sure they're rounded, keeping that shape. Otherwise, it'll look awkward. So just have a few. They don't all have to be lined up. Just, you know, those little bits that are on a carrot kind of a thing. That'll just help make that look carroty. Beautiful. All right, we can fill in his eyes. You can just color those in. Try to have them the same size, roughly. Never the easiest thing. All right, and then these we can color into. All right, that looks good. Have these little buttons. You can make them quite wiggly if you want, if they're going to be sort of a kohl, and you can have like little dots and stuff down sort of at the bottom to create a shadow, but it gives it texture to make it look a little bit rougher. Just a few little dots, a few little squiggly lines. That just helps that read nicely too. All right, on to these. So these are going to have a little bit of width because we don't want them just lines. Just make sure that your lines are just quite angular, quite sharp. Also gives it kind of a nice contrast to the other sort of shapes we have going here, and obviously it makes it look like a stick. Lovely, we can do the same thing over here. Actually, that's just to finish off his body first. And have that, and just, you know, down the bottom here a little bit flatter. Although in a lot of our scenes I am planning on just having, you know, actual snow, so that will be on top, but it's nice to finish this like that. Okay, and then this one can come over top. We can kind of make a little scoop like that, a little shape, and I'm just gonna erase, well, just a teeny tiny eraser, just getting there. And we will just make this all angly, not a word. And there we go. Okay. Lovely. And we just have our little tassels left. So let's pop those on. So you can just do the circles like I did. And I know I don't have them connected, so you can kind of make maybe like a loop like this. And then you can just have a few lines. I mean, this is probably more detail than it needs, but I'll know it's there. And then you can just have these tassels just like this. And let's see, how are we looking? I think that's pretty good. So we can turn off our original sketch. And how adorable is he? Okay, so just like we've done before, let's just go and quickly just create a new layer. Still with our brown, just grab those soft edges. We're just gonna make this look a little bit more vintage. We're not leaning too hard into but just enough so that it just has that cozy, old school feel. All right, so just scrubbing the edges. My brush is still at size 15. Probably remain that way for the whole of our calendar here. So just scrub that. Okay, just this little nose here too. Oh, I know what we need to do. You know what? Actually, I was going to do a pattern on his scarf here, but let's do that when we're actually coloring it. I was going to do it with the line work, but I think it'll be nicer if we actually just do it with the color. So, almost done. Again, this is not, don't take too much time on this part. Just kind of just get it in there. Get a little bit grungy, a little bit rough, and that will look really nice. Okay, perfect. And then we'll do the same little thing we've done before. So take our original, like our line work here, duplicate it, tap on the N to color burn, tap on the magic wand, Gaussian blur, hold and drag till it says 3%. Then go to the layer below, go to multiply all the way at the top. It's this layer here. Make sure that your opacity is down to 50%. You can see that just makes that nice and vintagey. Okay, so now we're ready to color him in. So let's go ahead and tap on our original sketch layer and tap on the plus sign. I'm just gonna do that just in a few sections like we've done before. So we can pick any color, just grab the pink, fluffy filler, whatever size is comfortable for you that you can work with here. Mine's at about 10. I'm just gonna do the snowman's body, like the snow part first. We can just quickly get this all in here. All right, and fill that in. And then this part. Okay. And then we can go and create a new layer. Let's just do his hat. So pick another color. Maybe I can do his hat on one and then I can just do that tie on the top. Okay, so his hat is all filled and I'm just going to do the tie on top. Okay. And actually, I'll do the scarf at the same time so we can have this and the scarf all on the same layer. Might as well. They're not touching, so I can still paint them individually without interfering with what's underneath. So I'll just conserve a layer or two here. All right. And then we can put all of our details on a layer. So I can create a new layer and we can get, let's just get this. So we can put actually that's a bit hard to see. So let's just do something lighter. And we'll do the carrot and his buttons and all his colors and his arms here. Okay, I might just change this to a different color so I can see a little bit better. Bring this lower. All right. Looking a little bit crazy. Okay, so let's just go ahead and turn this white. So I'm just going to tap on my magic wand, go to brightness, and pop that up. The rest I can color drop a little bit easier. And that should be good. So just get every single layer all in white. And then we're ready to paint. Okay, so we can just start with our actual snowman body. Just tap on a new layer, tap on that layer above and say clipping mask. I'm gonna grab this light blue color and we'll use the fluffy painter. Let's see, what size do I have here? Maybe about 18, 20, maybe even 25. I'm just being really light pressure. I just want it really soft to start with. I'll build it up as I go. So I'm just going around the edges and then underneath his scarf, so literally all the edges here. And then, yeah, creating that kind of shadow there. I can bring it up even bigger just to make that transition a little softer. That's fine too. Bring it down again, just to, get in here a little bit. And then maybe even smaller, just to bump it up a little bit closer to the edge of the scarf and the edge of the hat there. Just creating more of a shadow. Now I can go and use these. This is not exactly what I intended these for, but we can try it. The sparkle scatter. Just kind of making them, let's just see if I can get them the right size for you. Just a few little splotches, kind of giving just a few little dots and indents, sort of, if you want a little bit more texture. It's kind of not bad. Yeah, that actually works. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer and I'm just going to do clipping mask, go to this light pink, then go to the classic painter. Let's just do his little cheeks here. I have my opacity all the way up because it was down. Just give him a cute little cheek here. Might have to do it twice, just depending on how dark you'd like it. I don't want it exactly on those dots. Let's just give this a go when it's like slightly higher than that. Okay, that might be enough. We can always come back and adjust that. Before I forget, I just want to go and put just a little dot on the very top. So go to the very top layer, create a new layer, just get pure white, and then go and grab just that classic sketcher and just put a little dot I always like this. It just adds a little touch and I don't want to forget. So that just makes his eyes come alive to me. All right, back to how about the carrot and all these little details. So we can kind of get his face looking a little bit more normal. All right, create a new layer, tap on it, clipping mask. And we're gonna have to create an orange for this. I didn't have it on the palette here, but we can just use this one here and you can just drag it along just about there. Go grab the classic painter. Let's just, yeah, that's perfect, orange color. So just paint that in. Back to your color here. Now just drag it down and to the right. That'll create us a nice, still saturated shadow color. You can just do it on the bottom and kind of come up a little bit sort of with those lines. And that'll create that nice look. If you want to go even darker, you can do that again. Just put like a teeny bit. Just if you really want to bump that, just edge up a little bit, you can. And then we can do the opposite and go all the way up and to the right. Well, we might do our highlights later anyways, so maybe I'll just leave it as is. Okay, and then we have our little coal buttons. And let's use this color, I guess. It's going to be our best bet. So we can just color those in and then, you know, do another pass and make it a little bit darker on the bottom. Just kind of rounding that out. That's all you really need, not too much. And then to, let's say this brown here, let's just color in our sticks. I don't actually think we need to do a load here, but maybe this darker brown, we can just kind of, maybe you can do little dots just if you want a little bit of texture. It'll read as that from far away. Yeah, perfect. That's good. Okay, onto our hat. So let's select the hat, create a new layer on top of that, tap on it, clipping mask. Now all we need is a nice gray color here. So let's just go to this gray. I think it's going to be too light. Well, we can start there. So let's just go to the fluffy painter. Actually, let's do the flat edge painter. Just bring it all the way up and we can just do this. See how easy that is? I know, it's just like a fill, but now we can go with our fluffy painter and just start creating some nice shadows here. Just having this darker under here. I want it darker on this side here and rounded here. So a bit more on this side, a little bit on this side. Just gonna fade that in. I'm going to make this a little bit darker, so just pull it down just a wee touch. Maybe a smaller size, maybe about 12. Start to build that. I'm gonna go even darker actually. Let's just get a nice shadow. Not too dark, but I certainly want it to stand out enough. Just doing that smaller, and then bring your brush up to about 20, 22, 25. Lightly do that. Okay, I think that's good. Now let's go to our scarf and what is this called? I don't even know. With the little sash part on his hat. I'm sure there's a proper name for it, but all right, we'll create a new layer on top, tap on it, clipping mask. Let's go to our lovely red here. We can go back to that flat edge painter and just block this in. We'll block this in as well. And then we can just go with the darker red. This color, actually it's kind of a purpley color. Do I want to do the purple? Yeah, let's just have a look. Let's go to classic painter. Yeah, it kind of gives it a nice look. Okay, so just shade this in a bit. Get a nice big brush with this and just blend that out. We might be needing to use our blender a bit. So you can just leave it like that. Let's have some paint on it and then take your smudge tool, still the classic painter, and just blend that out like that. Just scribbling. Nice. Okay, back to your brush. Let's just do a little bit of shadow here. We're gonna put a pattern on here. So maybe a few little lines like this, sort of under here. Under here, kind of like that. And again, we can, like it looks messy, and then we can just take our smudge tool, just give it a little light smudge. Keep it a bit painterly because like I said, we're gonna go over with a pattern. All right, he's looking pretty adorable. Let's do our pattern. Let's see, I'm gonna just create a new layer, tap on it, clipping mask. You can do whatever pattern you like. I'm gonna attempt to do a bit of a plaid here. Okay, first I'm gonna start with this beige color, actually maybe this beige color here. And I'll use the, what's gonna be best here? Maybe the flat edge, just bring it way down. It's way too small. Okay, that'll work. Maybe around size 10. Let's just start with some stripes here. Sort of following a little curve here. Actually, maybe those are a little thick, a little too close apart. I want enough room for some other colors here. So maybe have them like this. Sort of trying to follow what we're doing. Now, the back row, because it's, you know, overlapped here, they're not going to line up. So just have them offset like that. And then this one is going to be going this way because the pattern will have changed because it's not lengthwise, right? So all these little variations will make it look more natural. The way you change them. Okay, so we can leave it like that or we can keep going. So let's just go and grab this light blue. I'm gonna make this brush a little bit smaller, size 5. That's probably good. And then I'm gonna just do a blue line right next door to that. Actually, this line would be above. So let's just do that. You don't have to be that picky, but anyways, I just noticed that. Okay, so let's then go to this very light color. We can still stay with 5, and I'm gonna do a line that goes this way. Now I could basket weave it through, but you know, I think this will still read well enough as plaid, right? I hope. All right, and then here, maybe another one here. How far apart are these things? Okay. Looking plaid-like. I know it's not perfect, but I think it still looks cute. Okay, we can go in and do, oh, I really want to do these line things, but it's going to take forever. But let me just show you something else we can do. I'm going to go and create a new layer below. Just tap on that. And I'm going to have pure white, so just go all the way up to white. Let's just do this. Yeah, I think that'll work. So it's about 18. So in between, attempt to have these lines here. Kind of like that. This one might even sort of have a little bit to show below here. Okay, and then you can have them just in between here. And what I was going to do with this is just either change the opacity or the blending mode here. I just was wondering if that might bring us something interesting. But I think just opacity might be enough. Okay, I'm just going to go back to normal, wherever it is. And just kind of bring down the opacity. What I was going to do in this, or it would be really fun, but oh goodness, it will take a minute. I would go to the classic sketcher with white, and then you know how the patterns are like this? like all these lines like this. So, oh, see, it does look cool. Maybe it won't take forever. See, now I'm gonna do it. Okay, let me show you. We can have these lines and actually they'll be a great guide. So just have this down to maybe about 50%. Create a new layer. Actually, I wonder if the light sketcher might even be, yeah. Try the light sketcher, so it's a little bit finer. And we can go at, let's say 12. And if you just go and just do it within this, a bunch of diagonal lines, I think it looks really neat. See, that looks more like a plaid. I know, I always think, oh, I'll keep it simple. Yeah, right. Must have details somewhere. So we can just make that look cool. I love adding texture and pattern wherever I can. I think it just makes your drawings look even more special and thoughtful. Okay, so this wasn't that bad. Okay, there we go. I like that. Okay, looks so cute. Now I'm gonna just add a little bit more shadow on top of the pattern just so I don't lose that. I could have done that separately here, but we can just go and create a new layer, clipping mask, just get this dark purple again. And I'm going to change the blending mode to multiply again so it will interact with the colors a little bit differently below. So it will just not be one color but kind of affect it a little bit differently. Just see how that just really helps that out. Just pushing that back a little bit. Just those little bits. Oh, we gotta do our ties here, of course. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Right, now, without a clipping mask, just create a new layer because these aren't part of a clipping mask, so we need to have them independent. Let's just go and grab this color here. Still with Classic Painter, we should be fine. Maybe bring the size down a little bit to 20 or so. Let's just color these in. See if we need much more than that. They might need, what do they need? Yeah, let's see. I don't know, maybe the color isn't quite right. I can make it a little bit more this color. Let's just go, and they're just a little bit boingy. But maybe that we'll just have that as a highlight and then just add a little bit more variation to it. I'm not totally solidly coloring it in, but just coloring that a bit. Yeah, it looks a little bit more normal. Okay, so our final touches, let's just do a little bit of highlight where we can. I'm just going to create a new layer all the way on the top, tap on the end, go to add, and select this lightest color. Let's give them a nice, well, not hitting that, but a nice highlight here. So this is, I'm just going to squiggle like that. Take your smudge tool, just concentrate on the outer edges. Maybe make this nice and big. Outer edges, just to maintain, and I can erase anything that goes a little haywire here. Just sort of concentrating on the outside, so I still want that nice and bright in the center. And I can take my eraser and clean that up. That gives it a really nice shiny thing. I forgot to bring down my opacity a little bit. So what I'll do, if you do the same thing as me, you can just go ahead and try, bring that back a little bit if it's too much. All right, so we can go and maybe just a little bit on his nose. Where else? Maybe just a little bit on the edge of his hat. Let's see, just very small. Just thought that might look nice. I think it does. We can have a little bit on his hat too. kind of just do a squiggle like that. Just play with it. You can always erase it. You can always turn it off, start again. But just these little bits kind of make it a little more polished. And it's really not hard. You just undo. Just do a squiggle, blend it in, take your time. See what happens, something nice. Okay. And let's see, everything else should be pretty flat. It's not gonna have a highlight on, a woolly scarf. So I think that's it. And of course, we can go ahead, I'm not sure we'll use this in our final one, but you can just go and all the way down to the bottom, create a new layer, go and just grab that dark color to the soft edges. Maybe make it about 30 or so. We can just give them a little shadow. I mean, this one won't use in our finished, but I kind of just wanted him not floating. So then you can take your smudge tool, actually change it to Fluffy Painter. This will give us a little bit of a softer smudge. Make it not too big, maybe about 25 or so. Just blend that out a little bit. There, now it looks a little bit less like he's floating. Just do a little bit more around the bottom here. I guess if he has too much of a shadow, we're in trouble. That means the sun is out a little bit too much. Okay, there we go. Lovely. So I hope you enjoyed doing one of these characters for our lovely Advent calendar, and I look forward to doing our next Advent project together tomorrow. I'll see you there.